Been no secret that I've been exploring a lot of the old games I grew up with on my iconic arcade machine as I've downloaded library upon library of games that are compatible with it. And going through the Super Nintendo category, one of the games that I almost forgot about, but I've kind of remembered over the years. It's one of those games where I was like, what game was that? I forgot about this game, but it was such a fun game. And I ended up rediscovering it on this machine, and that's Wild Guns. And Wild Guns was, oddly enough, released as a Super Nintendo only game that ended up getting no sort of arcade version or having an arcade version that came before it. And the reason I say odd is this game felt like it was designed with some sort of cool arcade machine in mind. And for those who don't know, Wild Gun is a third-person shooter essentially for the Super Nintendo that combines like sci-fi with Western, and it works so well. And in this video, I'm going to play through some of it and go over why I believe this game is one of the most special games on the Super Nintendo. So let's take a look. So at first, this game kind of looks like a almost generic arcade style game, but the unique thing about it is when this game came out, it was one of the few games I ever recall having a actual aimer with your guy or your person that you're controlling in third person. And you know, you have to understand the time period that this was released. There's a bit of a, how do I explain this? There's a bit of a limitation, and part of that comes down to the fact that analog controls weren't a big thing. Everything was all using digital pads or joysticks, and they didn't really have the same sensitivity as PlayStation 1 analog controllers. So the reason I bring that up is Natsumi, the creator of this game, they had to make some concessions. They had to figure out some ways to be able to make this play smoothly and control well as a third-person shooter, right? So to start, you have two options, Clint or Ann, which, you know, I think is a nod to Clint Eastwood, obviously, right? But to kind of get it started, one of the ways that you move, right? So when you aim your guy left or right, the joystick moves, so you move your character, right? And then you can jump, if you don't suck like me. You can also use your lasso. You can also use dynamite. And then you can also stationarily shoot. And when you start shooting, your character essentially basically stops. So in other words, he doesn't move with the cursor anymore. But you use this opportunity to obviously shoot and get the enemies that are in front of you. And then you of course can use like your lasso to attack the guy in front of you. And as you can tell, I suck at this game as I'm trying to narrate it, right? But one of the things I will highlight about this game is that it's not just a jump in, run and gun and play style game. It's a game that you definitely have to be on your toes. It almost feels kind of Contra-esque in the way that you have this bullet hell coming at you of 1,000 different guys attacking all at once. And you have to be on your toes to get them, right? And you have to use strategies with what you got to handle the guys who are in front of you or attacking you or whatever you have, right? Now, one of the things that I really think is cool is this game was, for the time period, you didn't really have third-person shooters that hit the market. You didn't really have titles where you could do this sort of stuff, where you could do acrobatic jumping in the air and shooting enemies. And that for me was something that, at this point in time, was something that was unique. I'd never played anything like this. No, sorry, I'm saying at this point in time, but what I really mean is, at the time period that I played this, which would have been like 96 for the first time, this was something that wasn't commonplace. You didn't have these style of games, and you didn't have them play so well. This is, to me, a game that it plays really well for what it is, and it feels really fun. And when I explain to people that this is a game that you're playing on a D-pad or a digital pad, and it's a third-person shooter, a lot of people assume like it's almost unplayable. And you know what? It might even, in some cases, look like it if you watch someone play. But the game was designed in a way that you don't need ultra precise aiming. You just need to aim in the right area, I guess is the right way to put it. And that's what also makes the game play well. That's what makes the game feel like it's meant to be for this device. You see, I suck. I died again. So this is a game that, in my opinion, you also need a ton of attention paid to it, or else you're just not gonna do well, right? And it's really hard. I'm gonna just highlight that. So I'm also have the advantage that I have save states on this, so I can kind of keep replaying if I get far enough. But ultimately, this is a game that if you've never played this, I heavily recommend it. And as I understand, it is on the Nintendo Switch now. They've actually, I think, done like a remaster of it as well for the Switch. So this is a game that I think is, at this point in time, it's not talked about enough, but it's really fun to play. And it's really a good game that if you haven't touched it, I heavily recommend you give it a chance.